There was once upon a time.
Now let's move to this very chunky and fiddly layer. So it's composed of 3 layers. This is what we're gonna call bumper. It's right here, and this is what we're gonna call the mandibles, because they look like mandibles of, I don't know, an insect. And the third part, which is connected to this entire contraption. Now guys, there's no 3-part free spinning. There's only 2. The bumper and the mandibles. The upper part does not free spin. It's connected with this. It spins with the driver. It's connected with the driver and the disc. So there's only 2-part free spinning, okay? Not 3. Now, let's just talk about the connection of this to this. Guys, see that white tab? That white tab goes like this. Can I borrow your leg? That white tab goes like this. Whenever you remove the chip, you have to force it up. And then whenever you put it, you have to force it down. So, my suggestion is, with this limit break Beyblades, you have to be careful on putting the chip on and removing it as much as possible. Just keep it on the Beyblade. Do not fiddle with it too much. If you've already decided on what combo to use, just leave it there. Because you don't want to break this chip, especially the Hyperion and Helios. Why? They are expensive. This is the cheapest you can get, more of this, but that set, the DX set, is so expensive. So that's just my advice on this. Now, going back to the layer, the end. So what happens is when the gimmick activates, this drops, right? So this is another instance where you don't just follow what Takara Tomy is telling you or what the box is telling you. The box is telling us that this is a defense type. This is an attack type. Attack chassis, attack driver. But the ring is more defensive. This is a stamina type. But the ring is more balanced. It has attack and defense. This is a defense Beyblade, and yet the ring has really good recoil. Guys, even though it's classified as by Takara Tomy as defense attacker or whatever, you have to look at each part to know their weakness and their strengths. This, for me, is a defense attack hybrid. It's not stamina. First of all, it's too light. I mean, even if you put this, I know this is heavier, 2 grams heavier than this, right? But when you hold it, this feels heavier. Why is that? This is heavier, but this feels heavier. Why? Because this is more compact. You get that feeling that everything is like compact. And this has a lot of space, a lot of weight spread out. So this is like 1 kilo of nails, and this is like 1 kilo of cotton. You get me? Almost the same weight, but it feels light. You know what I'm saying? Look at all that parts that's moving around. It's so chunky, and yet there's a lot of gaps and everything. So this is not made for stamina. Everybody expected this to be good at stamina. Actually, every Beyblade that comes out, everybody expects them to be good at stamina. Have good stamina. Guys, this is a defense type attack hybrid. It's not meant to last the entire round. It's meant to send an attacking Beyblade out, defend, not get KO'd. That's it. It's the stamina types that outlast other Beyblade spin, right? I'm gonna prove to you that it's an attack hybrid. Look, can you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 contact points which can cause recoil at each of the 3 sides. Look, if an opponent Beyblade hits that, see? So yeah, for me it's an attack defense hybrid, whatever. Have you noticed all of the defense type that came out, are like famous, like Drasil, Orb Aegis, this one, they actually have high recoil, and yet they're being called a defense. This is a defense type. Curse Satan. Look, no recoil. Contact points. See? Oh, and one more thing before we assemble this. Guys, the free spinning part, don't get too much into it. The free spin is only effective if the opponent Beyblade hits the free spinning part. If the height is not enough, then it won't hit it. And it only parries the attacks from the side. If it's going to be like this, it has an effect, right? If they're doing side by side like this, or the attack comes from this side, see? It moves. But what about attack from redirection? Like when you do a flower pattern, boom. Or when you hit a wall, boom. How do you defend from that? You need weight. The driver needs to be KO resistant. This isn't KO resistant, this is KO prone. All plate types of drivers are KO prone. So yeah, it has not that good defense. And these part right here, which they say would absorb attack, you know how hard that is? Before that bends down and like absorb any attack, the hit would throw this Beyblade away. Had this been rubber, probably it would have worked, but it's so hard. Guys, don't believe that this would absorb any attack. I tell you, this, when this gets hit like that, straight, it won't absorb it. This will move. Put a keep driver on this, and it will be more defensive. But this one, no. This is KO prone. You can test if a layer or a ring is defensive. Use a keep driver. It will keep the Beyblade on the stadium. So let's assemble this, shall we? So first is you put the chip on. Man, that's scary. And what you want to do is, if we're going to follow the box right here. Oops, I did it wrong. There's one more thing about this that we can talk about that many don't talk about. So let's try. So the mandibles are there. Okay. We can't lock it in yet because we need to put the disc. There. So when you are trying to lock it, either you press this because the chip will get knocked out, or you hold this 3 triangles because that is connected to the main body of the Beyblade. Don't hold on to mandibles, don't hold on to the bumper, just hold on to that and lock it, press it. There. Now, let's discuss 2 things before we end. Remember when I told you that this is heavy? So what do we do to compensate for that weight? I'm not sure if it's that effective, but guys, these has more plastic. This 3 triangles. The mandibles have more plastic. And the bumpers have more plastic. So I think, in theory, to compensate for the weight going to this side, you have to have more weight on the top. So what we can do is, let's remove the driver first. Guys, it's very important. Stay with me. I know it's a long video. Is either we put 2 bumpers at the top, 1 mandible, and change the orientation of the driver. I mean the disc. Yeah, there. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put 2 bumpers at the top. 2 bumpers at the top, 1 mandible, and 2 triangles. There. So is it heavier now? Maybe, because there's 1 mandible, 2 bumpers, and 2 triangles. So that's 5 plastic weights compared to the bottom, which is 1 bumper and 2 mandibles, 1 triangle. So yeah, I think this is a more balanced orientation. It's up to you. Again, this isn't balanced. You've seen it. I've demonstrated it a while ago. This isn't balanced. So now, one very important thing that Takara Tomy is not telling us, and other Beytubers are not telling us, is this. You know that gimmick where you like reverse the clicks, like it goes back? It has it. Ah, you didn't know that. It has a reverse click gimmick. I'm not sure with Helios or Hyperion, but you can check. Remember, the activation is at its 3rd click. So let's try. 1, 2. I'm gonna hold on to the bumper. 3. If it's in its 3rd click, how come it did not burst? It is on its... Yeah, how come it did not burst if it's on its 3rd click? Why? Look at this. 1, 2. It's aligned there, right? Look, I'm gonna go to the 3rd click and let's see if that moves here. Let's get ready. Limit break. So supposedly we are already at the 3rd click, right? Oh look, it's still at the 2nd. How did that happen? We should be at the 3rd click, right? It activated at the 3rd click. How come we're at the 2nd? I'm gonna prove to you that we're on the 2nd. Listen, 2 clicks. 1, 2. We're at the 2nd click. Look, 1, 2. So this is what happens. Imagine this is the trigger part, right? And this is the arrow. So what happens is, this is the 2nd click. When it's going to the 3rd click, instead of this going over, it actually goes back. So what happens is, it hits the trigger, it goes down, it goes back. So it goes back to the 2nd click. It's a reverse click gimmick. Isn't that nice? So that's the reason why it's not bursting. That's why I'm telling you, it is better that you have the activation at the later part, so that on the first part, the 1st click or the 2nd click, you have more stamina. And this is better without the free spin, I tell you. This is way better like this. Okay, just to follow up on the things that Beytubers and Takara Tomy is not telling us about Lucifer the End. I mentioned the reverse click gimmick. Well, I think it's better known as like a reverse lock gimmick. So what happens is 2 clicks, the arrow gets there on the trigger, and then for it to activate before reaching the 3rd click, it pushes it down, right? So it pushes it down. While pushing it down, it retracts down. That makes this arrow of the disc, instead of it going over and bursting, it retracts back to the 2nd click. So it's like a reverse click gimmick. It just goes here and then activates it and then goes back. Because remember, the disc, the driver, is holding onto the disc and it's pushing it towards the body of the Beyblade. Therefore, instead of it going over, it goes back. So it's like a reverse lock system. Not only that, this pink trigger now becomes like an additional burst stopper. Because when this is on its limit break ability, it just sits besides it. Before you get to the 3rd click, it's stopping it. See? So it adds additional burst resistance. Cool, right? So this is a limit break, not just a limit break trigger. It serves as a reverse lock system and an additional burst stopper. Boom! Mind blown. Seriously. Yeah, that is one cool additional feature. Bet you didn't know that. And another cool thing, which I think a lot of people know this, we can use it in free spin. See? You can use it already in free spin mode. So yeah. Okay, guys, about the part where does it scrape? Look at that. Ooh, look at that.
that doesn't touch the mat, right? But since the stadium is like a crater, that means it will hit that disc. Look, can it go beyond that? Let's see. I've already fine-tuned this. This is more balanced now. Where's the weight of the disc? I mean the weight of the chip. It's in front. So yeah, that will scrape the stadium if it gets to that. The good thing is, it rarely happens, but it will. This is so wide, it has so much weight at the outer part. That's why that happens. If you use the drift driver, on a not so wide layer with the right amount of weight, scraping can be avoided. So yeah, it's something you have to take note. Imagine this is already the lighter version of the disc. There are two heavier discs, and yet it can still scrape, but very minimal. There's a small possibility, but it still will scrape. Okay, there.